the continents of Africa, Europe, and Asia meet lies an area of critical importance. Today, the entire Near East is in transition. Ancient lands are stirring with new ideas. Ancient peoples are looking to their future. This is a report on how the people of 3 of these countries, Egypt, Jordan, and Iran, are working with American help to shape this future. Egypt is a desert bisected by a river. Without the Nile, there could be no life. Along the upper Nile, one of man's first great civilizations arose. The ruins of Thebes and Karnak can still be seen, the temples and monuments of the kings who ruled Egypt in antiquity. Today, Egypt is entering another age of progress. Rich in resources that have long been untapped, Egypt is beginning to learn the skills and techniques of the machine era. A few modern plants already exist, but to meet the industrial needs of its large population, Egypt is encouraging the investment of outside capital. Although industry is important to the nation's future, it is in the rural districts that Egypt is concentrating its efforts to improve the life of the people. For centuries, the farmers and villagers have carried the burden of poverty, ignorance, and disease. Today, village centers are being built to help them. These centers are sponsored and staffed by the Egyptian government, but some American advisors are present to assist in the health and education programs. Working side by side, Americans and Egyptians are training young nurses in modern methods of treatment and sanitation. They, in turn, pass on their knowledge to the village women. Hospital facilities, although limited, are also a part of the center. The high rate of infant mortality is being reduced by the most elementary hygienic measures. Preventive medicine is a revolutionary concept in this area. With equipment and drugs, supplied in part from the United States, Egyptian doctors are immunizing against widespread diseases, such as smallpox and typhoid. The Near East has only enough doctors and nurses for a fraction of the population. Midwives are still in common demand. The village center ingeniously turns the midwives to good purpose, teaching them cleanliness and giving them kits of basic medical supplies. Gradually, more and more trained nurses are visiting peasant women in their homes. Here, poverty and disease take their roots, and the first step forward must be one of education. The people have responded quickly to the health program. They bring their children to the eye clinic, where terramycin from the United States is used to treat cases of trachoma. The village center also provides veterinary services, such as a bottle of castor oil for an ailing camel. Throughout the country, American and Egyptian farming experts are cooperating on many different projects to raise the level of agriculture. They are also working to improve native animal and poultry stocks. The village centers are doing what they can to build a healthy, educated youth. But the problems facing Egypt are enormous. The facilities and know-how limited. Simple as they are, these village centers have drawn the attention of the entire Near East, for they mark a significant break with the past that offered little hope and opportunity. Today, a people long held back are trying to help themselves to a better way of life. The aim of American assistance is to show them how to do it. Out on the western desert, a reclamation project is underway to develop new lands for livestock production. American technicians are teaching range management and the principles of water spreading. Behind long level dikes that hold the rain from running off, the ground is furrowed and planted with grass seed. With the introduction of simple conservation methods, large areas of the desert are being brought to life again. Americans are also teaching the principles of crop dusting, using helicopters which were purchased by the Egyptian government. Elsewhere, Egyptians and Americans are working to reclaim new lands and create new farms for thousands of families. Crop dusting is but one effort to increase the agricultural production in this crowded land. The problems of Egypt have been compounded for centuries. There will be no quick or easy solutions. But the people of Egypt are eager to learn and willing to work. Already the shape of a brighter, more productive future is casting its shadow over an ancient land. Jerusalem, divided between Israel and Jordan, is a holy city for Muslims, Jews, and Christians. It contains the Mosque of Omar and synagogues of early Judaism. Nearby are many landmarks sacred to Christians, such as the Mount of Olives, the Garden of Gethsemane, the supposed site of the house of Mary and Martha, the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem. Jordan is another country awakening to its potentials. Here too, Point 4 is cooperating with Jordan's own program of modernization. A joint undertaking is the National Central Health Laboratory in Amman. The United States is advising and contributing equipment, but the actual work is being done by Jordanians. When the laboratory is completed, Jordan will for the first time be properly equipped to make serums, vaccines, and scientific tests, such as tests of water samples. The shortage of pure water is the cause of many Near Eastern problems. But some new wells are being driven by teams of local workmen trained to operate rigs for power drilling. As in Egypt, water spreading dikes are being built in Jordan's desert. When the project began, many natives of the region were frankly skeptical of its outcome. For to them, only a miracle could make grass grow in what had always been a wasteland. But the miracle worked, and grass has taken root. Even the skeptics are now convinced that new methods can help them change the face of their land. Jordan's desert is the home of nomadic Bedouin tribes who live in tents and follow their roaming herds of camels and sheep. One of their first rules of conduct is hospitality. The drinking of bitter coffee is a ritual observed with every visitor. The Bedouins have changed but little since the early days of Islam. They are independent, proud, and distrustful of any but their own traditions. Many of these desert people have never seen a tree or a river. They know such wonders exist, only through the description of paradise in the Quran. Although it does rain in the desert, the only water the Bedouins have is what is collected in miserable stagnant water holes. Strangely enough, these desert people have been among the first to realize the opportunities offered by technical assistance. In the early days of the program, a tribal chief named Sheikh Ali asked American officials to help restore one of the old cisterns that had been built by the Romans when they occupied this region. These cisterns were reservoirs along the line of Roman trade routes, but they had long since filled with silt and held little water. Sheikh Ali's idea seemed sound and in accord with the program's principle of working with facilities already at hand. An agreement was reached whereby the cistern would be restored. The work on El Muwakka cistern began. Engineers studied the contours of the land and discovered that the ancient builders had located the cistern perfectly to trap the maximum runoff of rain. The silt that had accumulated over hundreds of years was then removed, revealing the excellent condition of the original walls and floor. The old nailing was still intact and could be used as a base for fresh coats of mortar. Desert tribesmen traveled from miles around to watch what was happening. They had heard that a program of assistance had begun, and they were curious to see it in action. Even in the desert, there are sidewalk superintendents. Excavations revealed a clever system that had been designed to prevent silt from flowing into the cistern. The incoming water was channeled through stone passages that acted as a filter. The Americans showed the Bedouins that if these silt traps are kept clean, they will work as well today as when they were built. The work at El Muwakka was done entirely by Jordanian laborers, many of whom had never before handled even basic tools. Jordanian foremen were in charge of the construction. They too learned many new skills. El Muwakka cistern is an example of the way Point 4 is directed to teaching people how to help themselves, not doing it for them. The underlying principle of the program is to make the great fund of American technical knowledge directly available to the people, to demonstrate, to train, to inspire confidence in their own abilities. Its ultimate aim is to lay a foundation upon which these underdeveloped lands can build for themselves a stable, progressive economy. The restoration of El Muwakka was essentially a simple operation. It took a cistern that already existed and brought it back into use. But more important, it served as a model to show the desert people that behind the words of friendship, there were deeds. Neighboring tribes saw what could be done and are now restoring other cisterns in the desert. Sheikh Ali was a man of vision. He initiated the project and foresaw the benefits it could bring to his people. Since then, the rains have come and the cistern stands full. Iran's water flows from the mountains in the north It is brought down to the arid plain by a system of qanats, or underground canals, that are tunneled between open shafts. The men dig until they strike rock. Then they tunnel laterally to join the next shaft. The building of qanats is a remarkable feat of engineering, for the slope of the underground canals must be so calculated that for over many miles the water maintains a constant, even flow. Yet many of these workers are unable to read or write. They determine the amount of their day's pay by counting the piles of rock they have hauled up from below. In the past, Isfahan was the capital of Persia. It is a city of famous mosques and palaces built by the Shahs. Isfahan is a city rich in history and culture. It is also a city of poverty and disease. The tubes that bring in water are used for every purpose. They are typical of conditions that must be improved. The American Assistance Program in the Isfahan region is directed by Dr. Lucy Adams, who for many years worked with the Navajo Indians. Each day, letters requesting help come to her office. These letters are referred to the local Iranian authorities, who screen them to see if they express a sincere desire for improvement and should be investigated. One of these letters came from a village named Daskard, describing a half-finished school the people of the village had begun building on their own. But their funds had run out. They were short of materials to complete the construction. The letter was simple and eloquent. Would the Americans be willing to help? This required investigation, and plans were made to visit the remote village. To the people of Daskard, the coming of the Point 4 representatives was an important event. They were glad that high officials would show a personal interest in their problem and take the trouble to discuss it with them on the spot. The entire village turned out to welcome the visitors. A conference table was set up in the center of the village, and Dr. Adams met with the village council to talk over what could be done. They explained in detail how they had started building their new boys' school several years before. The village contributed the land and materials. With local labor, they had completed the walls and roof. But now they were unable to go on. It was evident that these people were genuinely interested in giving their children a better education, that they had in fact done as much as they could with their limited resources. Assistance would be clearly in accord with the program's principle of helping those who were working for their own progress. After a careful investigation and long discussion, an agreement was reached. The village council would give still more materials and labor. Point 4's share, under its agreement with the Iranian Ministry of Education, would be the finishing of 2 rooms, paint for the walls and floors, doors and windows, some plumbing facilities, and benches, desks, and chairs for the children. The contract was signed. Work began again. Today, the Dastgard School is open and conducting classes. Under a sign that says in Persian, "Knowledge is power," the children of the village are learning to read and write. The American share in the project is ended. The school is now operated by the villagers themselves, with some financial help from the Iranian Ministry of Education. The young schoolmaster attended an American training course given for teachers in Isfahan. There he became enthusiastic over the use of visual aids and made his own two-faced clock to teach the children both Persian and Western numbers. The building of this simple village school may seem a relatively minor undertaking, but not to the children who attend it. They apply themselves eagerly to their studies and actually requested that the summer vacation be shortened. In Iran, education means opportunity. The children are quick to seize it. In the room that was previously the boys' school, classes for girls have been started for the first time. Physical examinations of the children have also just been introduced. This school marks a significant advance, for in Iran, as elsewhere throughout the Near East, women have for centuries been forced to play an inferior role. Only now are they beginning to come into their own. Assisted by an American specialist in matters of public health, an Iranian doctor examines the children's eyes and ears. Americans and Iranians are cooperating on many different projects. One of these is the construction of a modern highway that will open the interior. Many sections of the country are difficult to reach, but equipped with American supplies and jeeps, veterinarians from the Iranian Ministry of Agriculture are visiting outlying farms to inoculate the cattle and sheep. American cows and chickens are also being imported for stock improvement purposes. They are about twice the size of the local breeds. Another cooperative project is the distribution of good wheat seed to help the farmers increase their crops. The seed is disinfected with copper carbonate to protect it from local plant diseases. The good seed is then taken out to the villages, where it is exchanged pound for pound for the farmer's weaker variety of wheat. The poor seed is made into bread. The good seed yields up to 100% increase. American technicians are also teaching young Iranian girls the fundamentals of nursing. The medical needs of this area are staggering. It is imperative to get people with at least elementary training in health and sanitation out into the field. If progress and stability are to be achieved in these critical lands, they must take their roots in a healthy, informed population. They must begin in the home. Today in the Near East, doors are opening to new friends with new ideas. The old pattern of life is breaking up. The shape of the future is now taking form. It is here in the intimate setting of a poor peasant home that the horizons of the American Assistance Program can best be seen, for it is a program based on the baby's name is Parima. She is 6 months old. Her future, like that of her country, is unknown. But with people working together in friendship, there can now be hope.